Hello, welcome back to Iron Fist Classic. This is episode number 10. And in this episode, we're going to go over the Iron Fist stories that were in the series Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, a series that published from 1974 to about 1976. He's only in issues 10, 18 and 24, 29 and 31. I'm also going to cover issues 32 and 33 because that features two characters who are from the series. Yeah, the Daughters of the Dragon. I'll get to them when I get to them. I'll get to them soon. First up, issue 10, written by Tony Isabella and David something. I don't remember his last name. Yeah, and it's a cover you see in front of you. In this issue, you have Iron Fist basically taking on the Steel Serpent in his first and only appearance. No, it's not Davos, the guy who's kind of like an evil Iron Fist. Anyways, this guy is completely unrelated to him, and he fought him before he fought the other Steel Serpent. This guy, the only thing he has in common with the other Steel Serpent is that he's from Kunlun. That is it. That's the only similarity. Basically, what he does in the story is he kidnaps Culling, and Iron Fist goes to fight him. He fights him a few times in the issue. After he gets defeated, actually he fights him a couple times. After he defeats him, the guy leaves, and he is never seen again. He's never brought up again. Anyways, I think he's like a forgotten character. Some say he died, but when I look at the issue, he didn't die. He looked like he just walked away and was just never brought up again. Okay, now he does appear in issue 15, but it's a reprint issue. It reprints a couple stories featuring Shang-Chi, mainly his second appearance in issue 19 of his series, and the Iron Fist story, just a reprint of Marvel Premiere number 19. Also in issue 10, they kind of recap his origin story, kind of like abridged a bit, cut little things here and there, but it's quite nice to put it in there. Issue 18 has him teaming up with the Sons of the Tiger, and the story is written by Bill Mantlo, one of two stories that he appears in where Bill Mantlo writes a story. Yeah, they go to a prison and they freeze some people who are there unjustly, though just by sheer coincidence, the same issue, and then the following issue, where Iron Fist starts his 6-part serial, which starts from issue 19, ends with issue 24. It's also the last issue to feature the Sons of the Tiger, which leads into the White Tiger stuff. But I'll get to them in another video. Another one of these. But, yeah, it's like classic, like stuff you would see in a martial arts movie, like a woman gets kidnapped, there's some romance, a woman gets kidnapped, Iron Fist has to save her. Over the course of a 6-part story, it's quite a journey of a story, and all 6 stories are written by Chris Claremont. Yeah, that's one thing interesting, though, about the writers who write the Iron Fist stories. There are people who have written Iron Fist at this point in time. It's a very nice little 6-parter, but then after that issue 24, then he returns in issue 29, where he takes on Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu, in a arena battle, which they are sort of forced into. They fight for most of the comic, and then they sort of turn against people who are running it, and they able to part ways, and they got a grudging respect toward each other. In the issue 31, now 29 is written by Doug Moak. Yeah, I actually was told exactly how to pronounce the guy's last name properly. Yeah, he writes the story. He was the I think it was like the third person to write Iron Fist after Roy Thomas did one story. The last Iron Fist story that's in here is issue 31, where it features all the martial artists who appear in the book, Shang-Chi, White Tiger, and Iron Fist teaming up to take on Fu Manchu. It's a fun story to read, and it's a nice goodbye to the other characters, and it kind of wraps up all their stories, because this issue is just one full story of a team-up. And then comes issue 32 and 33, which is the 2-issue storyline featuring the debut of the Daughters of the Dragon. Now, the characters themselves already made debuts already, like Misty Nightmare first, well, sort of unnamed. She was appearance unnamed in the first issue of Marvel Team Up, but she made her first actual appearance in the pages of Marvel Premiere. Same thing with Colleen Wing. They become the Daughters of the Dragon. Sort of like this martial arts duo that kind of preceded Luke Cage and Iron Fist teaming up. It's a interesting little two-parter, and also because it's black and white and it's under the Curtis imprint, Colleen in both issues is in the nude. Apparently she was kidnapped in the first part, and then she gets stripped butt naked, and she spends the entire feature that way until she's rescued by Misty Knight. Iron Fist is not in the story at all, so yeah. It's a pretty interesting two-parter to read, but it's just Misty Knight in a mature thing. Now, before I end, because I've got about 10 more minutes to talk about this, I want to talk about the Curtis imprint itself. The Curtis imprint was meant to do sort of mature type stories in a way without doing swearing and heavy amounts of violence. It was a black and white imprint Marvel published in the 70s, which also did, besides martial arts comics, it also did horror comics as well. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, this comic is, well, the stories that featured the characters that appear in this book, the superhero stuff, the characters appearing here, like Shang-Chi, the Sons of the Tiger, White Tiger, of course Iron Fist, obviously, and of course Daughters of the Dragon. This book is canon with the Marvel Universe. Not a lot of them are for these black and white comics, but pretty much, yeah, this comic is canon with the Marvel Universe. And for years, this comic, oh yeah, there is a Marvel Special Edition, which I didn't get a chance to read. As far as I know, Iron Fist doesn't appear in not one, but it's just something that features Shang-Chi. But after this series was concluded, and once Marvel started up doing trades back in the early 2000s, this series was completely ignored. The only thing from the Curtis imprint that has been collected officially in trade, both by Marvel and Dark Horse, because they own some stuff that was published by that, was just Dracula Lives. That series was put into trade, both by Marvel and Dark Horse, because there's some issues that feature Solomon King in the Dracula Lives series, which was also, the series still collected about 3 trades. It was collected in Essential Tomb of Dracula Volume 4, all 13 issues. The annual was a reprint. A couple of the issues were printed in Essential Marvel Horror Volume 2. It's mainly deal with like Brother Voodoo. That's simply what it is. And as for this series, oh, and there was a couple other books that was published under the imprint. One was Marvel Super Action. Just the Punisher stories been reprinted, and that was printed in Essential Punisher Volume 1, which the book itself later became a reprint book after that. Yeah. And the Marvel Premiere book, which kind of is published, it is published on the Curtis imprint, but pretty much all the series is canon with the Marvel Universe, so yeah, and a majority of that series is collected. When it comes to this series, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, this series has remarkably been ignored by Marvel Comics for years until last year when they released, actually just recently, they released a Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Omnibus, where it collects the first 18 issues. I'm like, that's it? There's still about 15 more issues left to collect. My guess is in Volume 2. They might do it, but probably because 18, because these issues are actually quite long. And they splice in there, with this series, they put in there stories for the martial arts movies that came out in the 70s, like, take a drink there, like Into the Dragon, pretty much like behind the scenes stuff. Like any martial arts movie that was coming out, they were putting like behind the scenes stuff in the comic. The comic would also occasionally have reprints aside from issue 15. Like issue 2 would reprint, one of the stories they have in there is a reprint of Shang-Chi's origins, first appearance from Special Marvel Edition number 15. But the reprints were occasionally there, but not always. The other feature there, aside from Sons of the Tiger, Shang-Chi, and Iron Fist, and White Tiger, was in fact a 5-part serialized story known as Sword Quest. It's a story set in, it's a serial set in feudal Japan. It has nothing to do with the Marvel Universe. It's a nice little story that they definitely squeezed in. It looked like something that you see in one of the black and white Japanese movies that came out back in the 60s and 70s, so it makes sense for it to be there. All the stories in this series are really enjoyable to read, and I hope Marvel continues collecting the series. The one thing that kind of bugs me about the series is that why wasn't the Iron Fist stories put into the other books that collected the early Iron Fist stuff, like Essential Iron Fist Volume 1 and the Iron Fist Epic Collection book? Yeah, these issues were completely ignored. Yeah, they also included the one-off issue of Marvel Team Up prior to his two-parter, which wrapped up the series. Yeah, they didn't put that in there either. But issue 31 has been collected in books in their books. But as for this series, nope, the series was ignored for years, and then for some reason Marvel decided to release a trade last year. But as far as I know, they have not released any other trades for the series. I hope they release another one, just so they can finish collecting the series. There's only 15 issues left, so it shouldn't be that hard just to put the last 15 issues in there, along with the, I think the special was collected in the previous book, but I'm hoping that they finish collecting this, because this is a really good series. Well, I haven't finished reading it yet, because I didn't get a chance to read, there's like one White Tiger story I didn't get a chance to read yet, but yeah, I just found the series online, and it is just amazing. Despite the fact it's in black and white, but that's how the imprint was published. All stories published in black and white. Heck, even Howard the Duck had black and white series published back in the early 80s, where his female supporting character would go nude in most of the comic. So it makes sense, but the nude stuff is nothing unusual to see in the Curse imprint books. As a matter of fact, that's one thing they did a lot of, was the nude stuff. Mainly it was female nudity. I didn't see much for male nudity in these comics, but yeah, the whole point of this, cash in on the craze of the martial arts movies, the martial art movie craze they had back in the late 70s. Okay? Anything else to talk about? Well, this series was written by several different people, but it's still a fun series to read. So, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for episode 12 when I get a chance to do it. Hopefully I'll do an issue of Marvel Team Up. But until then, I will see you there. Bye.